And we are back with Tristrike Tuesdays. I am Believe pronounce she. Joining me still on the mic is DHVF. And we've got our third round battle coming in. Reload versus Renegades, which both teams have definitely proven themselves so far here. Neither have lost. Both are like clean 2-0 in their first two round games. Just continuing to dominate and show uh, dominance against the other teams, but only one of them can continue to maintain that clean win streak. And the only way we're going to find that out is by a clean, good old Splatoon battle. Starting things off, we are going to be heading into Robo Rom in Splat Zones, which this is a classic zones if I've ever seen one.
Definitely. Yeah, it's very fight heavy in mid. It can lead to a lot of neutral fights here, but we'll see what we can do here as we are seeing a Glugos on the side of Renegades here, and no cooler as well for them as they go with the Neo Splash and Bucket 4 strikes and a Rapid Pro Deco as their backline. On the side of Reload, we see a Bamboozler with Super Chumps, the Mark II there looks like, as well the Carbon Dread and Decaf. So no cooler for Reload either. Very interesting here. We'll see this match get underway here with Reload taking in the first opening fight here, but they get zoned, but they haven't really gotten any kills yet here. Still waiting. Renegades is going to get another set of strikes on zone, but they're taken out by the Carbon, who drops, jumps back here, and there's 3 down the side of Renegades now. Reload is pouring through towards the ramp area of Renegades. The Carbon striking forward, not sure if they see them. The Carbon gets 1 kill behind, drops back, jumps back all the way to mid. And that'll stall out Renegades a bit more here as Reload continues their hold.
This Carbon is playing super smart, and I really like seeing what's going on here. Where they could definitely try to push for a couple extra splats, but they get that one, recognize that they're on the radar, and they're immediately out in the back line, which oftentimes by the time they've jumped back over, is being pressured by other players, which means that all of a sudden, while the other team is still trying to figure out where they are and maybe pressuring them, they're now supporting their back line. But unfortunately, it's not going to work out here. But for those first few plays, it was a really good way to kind of pressure and make smart calls that allowed for their teammates, for them to get those wins and to support their teammates. Looking at the situation right now, though, Renegade is really strong control of this area. They want to just continue to hold on to this elbow for the fullest of their ability, because as long as they can hold on to this, they basically have completely shut down Reload, and there would be no way for Reload to kind of push back. And this Carbon might have been in a good situation, but wasn't feeling quite confident, couldn't find a good way to make things work. But we see the opportunity. They get a triple, and leads to a wipeout. Very wise calls from this Carbon roller. They are definitely the player of this team right now.
Absolutely. Reload was in a very tough spot. They had been staggering all that throughout that time when Renegades is holding zone. They needed something there, and they got it with the Carbon getting a triple here. But don't look down. You can see here the Dread goes for the slider, doesn't find anyone, gets taken out by the Whale and the strikes here. And Renegades can maybe start to think about retaking here. The decap goes down as well. They have 3 people on the zone now. And with Renegades is really paint-heavy comp, you might be able to see it as Reload does take lead. And Renegades gets fought off here by the remaining members of Reload there. They're going to hold zone. You see some strikes there, but there are 2 down. Just splashing the Glugas. They need to get something there, and they just don't get it. Reload holds on, carries on the momentum from that Carbon triple to retake the zone, and they just do not let go. They take game 1 after a really well-fought game by both sides. But, yeah, I'm interested to see what you thought of that game there.
Sometimes all you need for a win is a very clutch play, like midway through, where it's just like, walk up, I'm gonna take 3 people out. And now we win. I'm not gonna let them win from here on. There were a couple of places where there were like opportunities I could see Renegades to potentially push back, but just the amount of momentum that was lost because of that Carbon roller, and just Reload managing to hold their ground, regain that, just absolutely phenomenal. We saw that moment where Renegades actually was really close to bringing things back. Reload basically had a single person on the zone only the pencil was painting there, but just because of how strong the paint output of the pencil is, they managed to contend the other Renegades as they were trying to outpaint it. And then the last player, I don't really even know where they were, but they were off to the side, likely cooking something up, or maybe they were painting too. I just didn't see them. But it was just kind of one of those situations where he managed to hold the line just long enough for the rest of the teammates to come in. And that's definitely a play of the game as well. Just that one pencil being able to just hold down the fort, and the rest of the Renegades weren't comfortable enough or confident enough to be able to try to make a push forwards and try to take them out. If they did make a push in that situation, they might have actually been able to quickly turn things around, but because they focused too much on the paint game, they kind of were locked into an even foothold, and that gave Reload the opportunity to kind of just keep stood and steady and be able to claim that first game.
Yeah, Reload did a really good job mitigating the strengths of Renegades comp there. That being like the sheer amount of painting specials they had. They had the Neo Splash, which gets a lot of Tristrikes. They had the Bucket, which is going to get its fair share of Tristrikes. They had the Glugas, which would be able to get its Booyah Bomb. That's 3 specials that can be thrown at the zone to just get quick paint on, get contests on. And I think that Reload did a really good job of making sure those really never impacted the game to a huge degree there. I think that they did a really good job just being able to have people ready to manage that. As we get into game 2 here, we on Marco Mart tower control, and you do see the return of that Carbon as well as a machine and a wiper and an edit nouveau. No more cool, or there remains no cooler on the side of Reload. Same thing with Renegades, who runs back the exact same comp here. And the machine does go down early, but I think that with a Carbon and a machine, I think this is one of the maps where you do not want to face that type of combo. It'll be interesting how Renegades mitigates how much impact that Carbon and that machine have on a map that is so favorable to them here. But they do win that opening fight. They do see some specials get out. You see the Tristrikes being thrown there, Booyah Bomb being thrown as well, and they are able to get past first checkpoint without much hassle at all. The Wiper being pushed back to the far left, the Buckets just being able to zone them out quite nicely. They're throwing their own set of strikes now, but they are caught off guard almost. They do actually manage to get a trade out of it though, as Renegades does go 2 down, but the tower doesn't quite get to the second checkpoint, but a really good opening push for Renegades there.
Good opening push as we're leaning into a second push immediately following. But we're not going to be able to hold it as they try to back away and just kind of get overwhelmed by high amount of pressure, taken down, but we do see a little bit of a trade in exchange for their efforts. So now we are back into that center field, both sides trying to take control of this field, or take control of this tower and start making their push, looking for that opening, and it looks like Renegades kind of in that situation again where they might be able to make a strong push. First triple ink strike out, Booyah Bomb coming into response. We have another triple ink strike being held by Jay, who is splatted out, which means a very pivotal pushing tool for Renegades is gone, and also likely their major defensive unit to ensure that they could gain more points. Now it is Reload's turn. This is a very back and forth match happening right now, as neither are really able to secure a very confident foothold. We are at the first checkpoint. It looks like they aren't going to be contested here as the crowd comes out and the push continues onwards. But yeah, stopped at 65. I don't think it's going to be continuing that much onwards because there's just too much pressure coming in. And they've lost too many of their units. So now Reload has to back up and reload as we've got a Booyah Bomb ready. The GG, I mean, triple ink strike is also ready on the other side. So they both have some pretty good GG tools. But very aggressive trying to stay in the fight with, I believe, for that Wiper just maybe being a little too risky there and not backing away when they needed to. Taking out this Carbon Roller coming in again.
Yeah, that Carbon just continuing to be a thorn in the side of Renegades, who they've gotten a lot of good picks in mid. They stop reloads, only push the game here, as they can try and isolate that Wiper, take out the Stamp as well. And that's 2 down on the side of Reload. 3 down, actually, as they get another kill on the far right side of the map. And now Renegades can start thinking about pushing up again. The Bucket is watching that right stack, pivoting back and forth a bit there, moving forward, or trying to find someone to maybe contest here. As you can see, one jump out on the side of Reload. And right now, Renegades prime position to push again. And Jay there fighting under as one falls off on the side of Reload. You cannot have that as the Carbon takes an unadvised death there. And the Bucket also gets a kill on the Crab. That's another huge play there. The
That
Carbon
and
does
the
come
roar
back.
not able to escape the booyah. This this seemed like an opportunity. They had a lot of good splats, but it looks like they actually it just wasn't. It was a little too staggered, and Reload managed to just keep steady and managed to have the few players that were still kicking managed to push back, and now it's their opportunity to make their counter push. With the first tower gone, they have a clean opportunity to charge forward. The crab acting as an additional barrier, going to be more than taking enough to be able to bring the lead over into Reload's favor now. As we move into the last minute, ooh, the Ultra Stamper getting
Oh,
two splits, rushing in for a third. They just barely whip out on that chance, but that's plenty opportunity to stall things out as they move towards the final checkpoint. This is the final pushing moment. The Booyah Bomb trying to stall things out a little bit longer. They're just barely able to defend this tower, but now they have 37 seconds left to be able to make a counter push and try to reclaim this game. But it is such a huge climb to go. They are going to have to spend a lot of time in overtime to be able to bring this back. And it's going to be very, very easy for
yeah.
Reload just to
Keep
throw
an
in
eye
like one of
on the
their two triple
machine
strikes.
for Reload here, as they do have their Booyah Bomb. Renegades is going to need to find a way to get rid of that Booyah Bomb before overtime, as I think that's the idea that the bucket has, but their flank is snuffed out by the Wiper there. And right now, the machine's still carrying that Booyah. Their Renegades is 3 down. Their own Booyah does come out. The Stamp comes up from behind tower. That's going to get a kill, and that'll ice the game for Reload, who after a really, really strong push of their own to get it all the way to 16, clamp down on defense and take the set here.
Excellent, excellent play from Reload. Just managing to get that good push in at the end. The crowd really made a difference just being that little bit of an extra tank. Didn't have a big bubbler, didn't need it. Didn't have ink vac, didn't have a lot of the conventional tools to kind of ground that base. They just pushed Renegade back, and then the players that were trying to fight and try to like scare them off of that tower couldn't do much damage because there was just a crab there, and crab has so much health. If you cannot get your shots to line up and hit the little kid on the top, you've got to take down this giant beefy tank, and that is not easy to do. A lot of players generally are going to end up failing on doing so, and that just means that is just more time, more opportunity to push that tower further.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought the way that Reload was able to make use of that crab, clear space, I think that's how they were able to get past second checkpoint relatively easily there. And really good job by Reload, making good use of resources they have at their disposal, being really good, really opportunistic with their pushes. And yeah, I think it ultimately is what got them those last 2 wins there as we head into Game 3 on Mahi Mahi Zones.
Indeed. This is another one of those stages where this is a very actually well not I don't know if this is another of those stages, but this is a pretty notable and interesting one. Honestly, one of my favorites. I just love the environment. I like the aesthetic of this stage.
Definitely.
And then it's fun in the way that it is the one of the more aggressive stages. There's so little place to play defensively. It's so easy to push, pressure, or punish somebody who is playing defensively. It's just you have to fight. You have to headbutt. It sucks if you're in disadvantage though. But as long as you can like play back and forth and you can play smart, it is such a chaotic and entertaining place to have a match.
Yeah, as we look on to see where we see the game view, the bamboo does make its return for Reload, as well as a tent. That should be very interesting how Reload can make use of the tent after not seeing it for the first 2 games. And for Renegades, exact same thing. Neo Splash, Rapid Pro Deco, Bucket, and Glugas. The Bucket and Glugas are going to get taken out here, as Renegade's going to be forced to regroup early as that penalty is ticking down. I believe that is going to result in the water dropping here. Let's see if Renegades can maybe make something happen with the extra open space. You see the whale get popped. One set of strikes also gets popped here. And it looks like this is going to be an opportunity for Renegades to move into mid, get pain on the zone maybe. Although Reload doing a really good job holding it, taking 3 down. And with that resetter, they're going to hold that zone without any penalty being applied. And now this is immediately into the danger zone for Renegades. There are people trying to get onto the plat for Reload here, try and stall them even more as they're comfortable controlling mid. And Renegades, I think they're going to need to get a set of specials. There's one Booyah Bomb there, and the bamboo does get taken out. They do manage to contest, but not for long. as Reload holds the zone. They're throwing strikes. They're frantically trying to just stop the. I'm forgetting, apply a penalty, but the restart is going to cap the zone. Three are going to go down, and Reload is going to get the quick knockout and take a 3-0 win over Renegades here and sweep their way to the final round of Swiss.
Absolutely phenomenal. Very impressive from Reload. That triple ink strike that came out, that was so unfortunate. I don't know if that was actually communicated or if it was they just were the other players were in a very weird place. You saw the triple ink strike came out as soon as we got that good upper camera view. Excellent work from the cameraman there. That we saw the 3 strikes came down, and then one player came over and is like, "I'm gonna page everything." 2 players off in the north end, just like having a little battle over there with like one player, which they both unfortunately lost, which is very devastating to have happen. I think they were planning on trying to do a shark or like some kind of sneak attack while the rest of Reload was distracted with the triple ink strike. And then one player was just not even there to participate in that push. So it just kind of resulted in a very, very mellowed out super that like came out, and then one guy just showed up, and then nothing happened. It was the most unimpactful triple ink strike I think I've seen in any of these tournaments, this is insane. It was a bad triple ink strike. It's just the way everything lined up. It's one of those like Three Stooges kind of scenarios where everybody was trying their best, but just the way the cards played out, it just turned into everybody tripping over each other, and just like one of those really unfortunate moments where you just kind of you can't help but watch and feel bad.
Yeah, unfortunately, especially since Renegades' comp is so reliant on getting those tri-strikes on and hitting the zone, making space for each other, and I think that just wasn't able to hit there. I think that's really was the story of that game for Renegades. Specials just weren't able to be correctly played off of. Big shout out to Reload though for being a big part of why those specials didn't have a lot of impact. You saw Reslider being deployed to counter the paint that the strikes and the Booyah Bomb put on. So that I think that allowed them to hold zone for at least a couple times that game when I think it would have normally gone to Renegades there on the cap. But yeah, I think they were just ready with specials like Reslider. They were ready to just put paint on the zone to counter those strikes. I think they were all in really good positions to make that happen. I think they were able to force the specials out a little bit early, especially at the end there as well. I think that they did a good job putting the right amount of pressure on Renegades to get that done. And yeah, really, really good game for Reload there as they move on with a sweep and a 3-0 victory both in this set as a whole and the tournament as a whole, as they are undefeated in 3 rounds of Swiss. And we will take a short break now. We will get back to you for the final round of Swiss coming up shortly. But yeah, we'll see you then.